welcome back to the Webb Insurance Countdown to Kickoff on 1150 WIMA. A new season underway tonight. Todd Walker here along with Mike Miller and Jason Aldrich as we get ready for Bath and Allen East, our first game of the season as per the norm. And gentlemen, we meet again for our roundtable segment.
Put up your dukes, baby. Let's go.
Oh, you want to take on the man.
Now I'm fired up.
We're throwing him down, Todd. We've got a newcomer in the mix this year, and he's a little bit too boisterous.
Yeah, a little bit. Just so you know, I am the reigning and forever champion in our picks.
That's about to change.
That's because I had a lead going in the final week, and I rolled over.
You had no such thing.
Here's my question. Who's finishing second this year, baby?
If you're second, you're last. You understand?
You're the first loser.
Exactly right. So we're going to get right into discussing the games of the week and making our picks. And let's start with our broadcast game tonight, Allen East at Bath. Both of these teams looking to restore former glory. Allen East with new coach Mike Abbey. Bath, third year for Coach Chris Miller. Maybe turned a corner last year at 5-5. Can they step it up this year? Big problem for them, Jason. Aaron Smith, questionable for this game. Really, I don't think he's going to play, but they've officially said he's questionable. Without him, they're going to have some challenges.
Yeah, those are my thoughts too, Todd, where you were going there as far as the turnaround that Bath made a year ago. Despite the injuries here early on, I think they're going to be able to get through that and get a win here in the opening week here over Allen East.
I think it's important that Bath finished strong last year. I think through the final 5 games or so, they were like 4-1 against good teams, I believe. And for third-year coach Chris Miller, it was time at that point for Bath to start to show a little success from all the hard work that's been going on. I think their defense will clearly be improved. It'll be their best defense in 3 or 4 years. And obviously they've got a senior trigger man who flies below the WBL radar with all the good quarterbacks in that league. But as you well know, Todd, and even Jason knows, Brad Davis is an outstanding athlete. He's very smart, and he's going to trigger, even without Smith, if Aaron is hurt, and that's 1,700 yards from last year taken out of the mix, I think Bath is going to be able to move the ball on a lot of teams and an improved defense. I like Bath a lot.
Yeah, I think Bath wins this game probably pretty handily. Allen East not starting over, but with a new coach, a new system, and that kind of thing.
And improved numbers, actually.
Their numbers are a little up, that's true, but Bath will win this game, even though Smith almost certainly is not going to play. Keaton Sullivan also is not going to play, but I'll take Bath anyway. Let's move over to Kraft Stadium. Elida stepping it up, so to speak, with their scheduling, jettisoning their matchup with Liberty Benton in favor of Detroit Henry Ford High School. The boys come down from the Motor City, and obviously none of us are really familiar with them at all. We were very familiar with Elida, and I've gone out on a limb and taken Henry Ford in this game. What I've been able to find out about them, their strength is up front. They're a big, strong team on their fronts, and that's Elida's weakness. So I'm just kind of playing a hunch. I wonder about Elida. They lost Ross Harmon, who was the heart and soul of a pretty good defense last year that got overlooked. They also they do have their leading receiver back, but Reggie McAdams spent all summer playing basketball. I just think that Elida might need a week or two to get up to speed, so I'm going to pick the upset, I guess you'd say, and take Henry Ford.
Now, here's my question. I honestly do not know the answer to this, guys. Maybe you both do, maybe you don't. Does this count as far as the OHSAA and points goes for Elida?
Absolutely. They'll be counted as a Division I school.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes by enrollment, just like it would if they were an Ohio school. And you have to do that because so many teams, especially on the borders, play teams from other states.
Okay.
So it's based on enrollment. It will count the playoff points. And that's why, as we discussed on WOSN on the show I did with them, I think this is the game with the most playoff implications because Elida obviously took a chance by stepping up against a team from a big city hoping for those big points. They've got to win this game now to make that gamble pay off.
Yeah, from that standpoint, I'm going to agree with you, and you may have information I don't have that they consciously did this because
they did.
Okay, because I don't see this as a diss at Liberty Benton by any means.
Not.
I mean, Liberty Benton was down a little bit last year, but that's the kind of school that won't be
It was
down.
a mutual thing.
Right,
They
so
both came up with the idea, said it would be fine as long as Elida found they'll be a game, which they did.
I respect the homework that you did on Detroit Henry Ford, and I'm inclined to believe maybe they will be a pretty credible opponent. I hope they are, frankly, for Elida's sake. But I'm just going to probably go with the flow and pick the Bulldogs, thinking they're going to be able to big play, score some points, and even though they lost some of their defensive linemen, really some of their bangers up front, that they did establish a very aggressive mentality last year to get into the playoffs and win a game. They really played the state champions pretty tough down in Piqua. So I'm going to take Elida.
Jason, who you got?
Well, and also, too, guys, is this Henry Ford school team, is there a home field at the museum? Just a thought. I got to go to the coin here. Heads, Elida. Tails, Henry Ford.
Okay.
Tails, Henry Ford.
Okay, Jason's on with me. The museum's actually in Dearborn, so not in Detroit.
Gotcha.
To our third game.
Same thing.
Marion Local at Shawnee. Flyers, from what we're hearing, have been ready for another strong season. Shawnee hoping the return of healthy Seth Rosenbauer and Trey Verdeals tackling everything that moves will be what they need to improve on 2 and 8. I think Shawnee will definitely be better, but I don't think you're good enough yet to take on Marion Local, who comes in ready to roll. I'm going to take the Flyers in this one.
This could be a very interesting game this evening. Could be a very good battle. Could go down to the proverbial wire. I still got to, like you, Todd, I'm going to lean with the Flyers and go with Marion Local.
I think a healthy Seth Rosenbauer, is he expected to go both ways?
He is going to play defense, and we'll talk with Coach West coming up next segment.
Looking forward to that. And I think he's really one of the unsung athletes potentially in the area. And Todd, as you and I have spoken about earlier, how good of a basketball player, frankly, he is too. But I think he's a football stud. And with Reneals and the rest of the gang, and everybody seems to forget suddenly that Shawnee was pretty good for 3 or 4 years in a row. The first game loss has cost them trips to the playoff. I'm going to take Shawnee at home in a close battle with Marion Local, and I love the Flyers.
How about Kenton Coldwater? This was almost an ESPN game to be played on Sunday. Thankfully, that didn't happen. They'll play tonight as they're supposed to down in Mercer County. Coldwater, slow start last year following the death of Coach Reed, finished strong, went all the way to the title game. Kenton was almost impossible to stop. Kenton rolled Coldwater last year, but I'm taking the Cavaliers. But with the slight caveat, apparently their quarterback Bruns has had some back spasm issues. If he has trouble, that's obviously going to change things, but I'll take Coldwater.
A showcase year for Matty Mock and the boys on offense. Of course, Mock has committed to go play collegiately for Gary Pinkel at Missouri. I'm going to go with Kenton in the opener tonight.
I'm going to take Coldwater, not just because they're at home. I think Coldwater, maybe top to bottom, is frankly loaded this year. Maybe a better team than last year. Hopefully Austin Bruns is healthy because he's got a very bright future as a quarterback also. He seems to have all the measurables and has some experience. If he's healthy, I love Coldwater in this game. If not, I think Coldwater is better because there are some big questions about the Kenton defense. So I see Coldwater in more of a ball control game where they're going to grind it out and beat Kenton that way.
And also, of course, they replace people at Kenton, but your top receiver's gone. Matty Mock lost Max Morrison, and say what you will, that's going to be an issue. Our final game to make a pick on is tomorrow night's showdown with Delphos St. John's at Lima Central Catholic. Both these teams made deep playoff runs last year. St. John's winning it in D6. LCC got to the semifinals in Division 5. I think this T-Bird team has very little weakness, if any. And St. John's losing so many studs, there's going to be a little bit of a slippage, especially early in the season. And I think the T-Birds really want to beat St. John's. Felt they should have beaten them last year. I'm going to take the Birds at Lima Stadium tomorrow night.
I'm going to add to that and also pick the Birds for a whole variety of reasons. Issues that both teams faced during the preseason. St. John's defensively had some issues, still trying to settle on their quarterback, but nevertheless, they'll get it done through the course of the year. T-Birds top to bottom, potentially a really big year. LCC all the way in this one.
This one's too tough for me to call, Todd. I'm
going back to the old flip again. Here we go.
Heads LCC, tails DSJ. Here we go. Tails. No, it is heads. LCC.
It makes it a sweep, and that's our round table segment. And when we come back, we'll talk with head coaches from LCC, Shawnee and Elida, as the Webb Insurance Countdown to Kickoff continues on 1150 WIMA.